everyone was terrified. You did not know where they were. You simply didn't know where they were. Two were caught, in the West End. There was a presumption they were somewhere near there. I happen to live not too far from there, in a very remote area. So, I mean, it was just such an apprehensive time. Where am I going to come around the bend and find some guy standing there with a machine gun? Am I going to come home and find some guy is in my house with my wife and my son? And I this went through, everybody's mind and things.
It's funny, once something like that happens, you sort of shift. I never thought about this before, but your perspective shifts and you open up to, and this is what I believe happened in the islands, you open up to murders are there, get them at any cost.
We probably had 100 Virgin Islands policemen there, plus the local marshals, the federal marshals.
The FBI, the Marshal Service, the military, everybody.
And by the end, I'm sure we had 120 or so.
And it was completely federalized. The investigation was federalized.
They chartered a jet and a SWAT team came in from Miami, I remember that.
Helicopters were landed right out there on the golf course with FBI agents.
We had FBI men came in from all over the country then.
What went without saying is they didn't have that much confidence, I think, in the Department of Public Safety.
When the FBI stepped in, they called the shots. And we did what they wanted us to do. And we, in turn, ushered them and showed them around and where to go and so forth while they were doing their investigation.
We would argue over the press release, whether it's, say, the FBI announced or the FBI and the Virgin Islands government announced, or the FBI, the police and the Virgin government, or we spent a lot of time on the usual bureaucratic nothingness. There was one interesting thing I know. That we were all at Fountain Valley getting ready for the men to move out. And this was like an army of geared up big guys with all this equipment. Apparently the Fountain Valley Golf Course had opened up in the meanwhile, where they were allowing some golfers in. And I remember a tourist with a little white guy with a pink face and wearing green shirts and pink shorts and whatnot, with his golf clubs, walking by this array of armed men getting ready for, a war, it looked like. And I wish there was a photographer there to shoot the shot. Macabre as the whole thing was, it would have been an interesting shot.
4, 5, 6 o'clock that morning, a group of us started to go up the hills to look for them, Labite and the others.
We know they'd gone off into the woods. If you've been to the Fountain Valley, it's a very hilly, very wooded area around there, and many, many places where a person could have a camp or hide.
There was a fellow in jail for some minor charge, and he had been with them one night in one of their camps. That they called it a camp. It was where they slept for the night. So he said, yeah, I could take you to where the camp was. And they tied a rope around his waist. He says, okay, I'll follow you. You take us to where it is. And we were climbing through these hills. This kid is just like he's skating on ice. He's going so fast. I thought, oh, brother, if he's like this, these guys, it's going to be some chase if we have to chase him down.
They were going around just arresting, young blacks all over the place. It wasn't going by the law. It wasn't going by the book.
This excellent work. When you really stop and think about it, within 24 hours, 1 arrest. Within 48 hours, 2 arrests. All 5 arrested within a week. That was some incredible police work.
By that time, there was a reward of, I think it was $25,000 for the arrest and conviction and capture of these guys.
They received a tip, I think, on Monday evening that the 3 suspects we're looking for were located on some Joseph family property in Frederickstead.
I can't get into how we found out, but we had positive information.
A woman that was living in the area saw them, but she was so scared to talk, because everybody in Frederickstead was scared now. And on the island, most of Frederickstead was scared. So she saw them when they came in, and they went into the building. They were staying in the back of the building. And eventually, she called one of the police officers and told him, she was very, very scared.
I came out with my hands up, and turned myself in.
They were dressed in rags at that point. I remember Labitte's pants were halfway pulled down, ripped, and they were brought in. And that from that point on, pretty much in the FBI hands.
I was listening to the radio, and the bulletin came on about what had happened at Fountain Valley Golf Course, right? And right away, man, I had a feeling to me, you know, I had a manhunt looking for me anyway, right? And I think they had $25,000 reward on my head and shit. It wasn't saying dead or alive, but I think, you know, it was clear what it was about. It was clear to me. I was right close to the town of Frederickstead anyway. It's a long way from the golf course, Fountain Valley Golf Course where the, incident took place. So I knew, right away, I said, wow, this shit is gonna get deep here, I think I'm gonna end up getting blamed for this shit,
I was told that there were a large number of .45 shells found, and that seemed to lead to the belief that a machine gun was used, which made us think that Ishmael Labitte was probably involved because we knew he was in possession of a machine gun, one of two that had been stolen from the police department years earlier.
There was a Tommy gun used to mow these people down, the victims, and there were two submachine guns that had been stolen from the police. And the fellow who stole the two of them gave one to, I believe, Labitte.
Grease gun. I don't know what the formal thing, but we used to call them grease guns in the military.
And they asked Labitte, where's the gun? And which is a machine gun.
Where is it? He says, well, over there. And he points at an outhouse.
Down into the pit of the outhouse.
Two guys jumped in and got that submachine gun and brought it up.
The police got down inside that latrine and recovered those weapons with their hands out of the mess.
So they wrapped it up and they sent it up to FBI headquarters. And I understand when they unwrapped it, it was a very unpleasant scene up there because you can imagine it was pretty ripe at that time.